We're on. All right. I want to welcome everybody to the first episode of Justin versus Sean, where we're going to be talking about everything comic books, anime, news, our likes, our dislikes, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're going to be out here doing right now. So I want to first come in and introduce myself. My name is Sean. I'm a huge comic book enthusiast. You can check me out on different things. One of my podcasts, Bearing Goods. Also this podcast, Justin versus Sean. And soon to come out, coming out with another t-shirt, a new t-shirt line. So that's just a little bit about me. And I'm going to turn this over to my co-host, Justin, and let him tell you a little bit about himself.
Welcome back to OtakusGeeks.com, first of all. Justin, for those who don't know me, co-founder of Otakus Geeks, also indie writer and creator of the Geist universe, cryhero.com, and more stuff to come, which you'll know sooner or later.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm tonight's moderator. They call me the Icon. You can check me out on my YouTube channel. That is RedEyez Entertainment. That's RedEyez with a Z. And you can also follow me on Twitter at RedEyez Media and on Instagram at RedEyez Blackfire.
All right, fellas. So to start it off, what we came up with this is because there's a lot of times that Justin and I, when I joined Otakus and Geeks and we first started, we would have discussions and conversations about different things that we didn't always agree with our choices in comic books. If you don't know, Justin is deep into DC and he loves his DC characters. I'm more of a Marvel dude, and we would have, even though we both love both comic book brands and we love reading, that we have different characters that we love from each one. We both are set aside with which ones we really do stick with. So I definitely run with Marvel all the time. Justin definitely runs with DC.
Definitely.
And we do have, even though me personally, I kind of think that his brand is kind of suffering right now.
So is yours.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the thing is, like, Marvel has its quirks, but they have more wins than they do losses.
Okay, well, not to cut you off. Snowflake, really, for your new Warriors? Y'all making characters called Snowflake?
I mean,
really?
I mean, that's fine, but I mean, have you seen some of the
Safe Space?
Yeah.
Shall we go on?
Yeah, but I mean, listen, these are comic book characters, and like anything else Marvel does, when they want to get rid of you, they just kill your entire team off. Wow.
Well, they need to kill that off. Internet gas.
I mean, listen.
I got bullets in the chamber for Marvel right now.
Listen. I mean, you could talk about bullets in the chamber, but other than their TV shows, I mean, Batman versus Superman. I mean, Jesus. I mean, you know how many times they try to sprinkle sparkles on top of shit?
Well, let's break that down for a second, because there are a lot of people, like Batman versus Superman, like, honestly has split down, like, mixed reviews. Like, people make cases for it and against it. So,
like anything.
Yeah, but specifically with Batman vs Superman, what specifics, like, what specific issues did you have with it? Like, instead of just saying, like, oh, the movie sucked, like,
you really want to open that door for me? Okay.
This is how we started off.
Okay, this is how you want to open that door for me. We haven't even gotten to the verses. We're gonna get there later.
Because BVS is a sensitive, it's a sensitive topic.
First of all, let's take one thing. You took one of the best DC comics that started, Batman versus Superman. The symbol by itself is just a symbol for excellence in that comic. And you take that movie and you let somebody who probably sits in the house and picked up one comic book and played the Injustice video game and read another comic book here and there, and then decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this soup of shit that I want to put together and mix so many things, and there was no cohesive storyline with it. I mean, you jumped from Justice League to Batman Year One to Injustice to this to the death of Superman I'm like, come on, look, dude, pick a storyline and work with it. I can understand doing the death of Superman and maybe the Injustice because it opens up everything from the multiverse. But then you're taking Batman Year One, which wasn't even Batman, it was Damian Wayne. All right. And then you're going to mix something else in it. Then you're going to mix The Dark Knight Returns in there where Batman is fighting Superman. And then the ultimate sin The second best comic book of that is when they introduced Trinity, which is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. All right. And you put her in there, and then you take it and you just completely screw that up. I will say, I do think Wonder Woman was one of the best parts of that movie, because I think between her movie and her appearance in there, she was just really good. And I'll be the first to tell you, I shunned Gal Gadot. When they picked her, I actually looked and I was like, really? Like, y'all your casting. I was like, DC's casting just really was not on point for me. But she made a believer of me, and I have to walk that one back.
Yeah. Did you feel that way about Batfleck?
No, I didn't. And no. I will say this: it's 50-50, because I flamed him when he was first. I literally picked up the phone and called Justin. Was like, Ben Affleck. This is your pick. This is your god. I was like, this is who you're gonna pick to be Batman. You have hundreds of different people you could have picked. I'd rather you go back and get George Clooney's ass with the head shakes.
And I remember I told you, I said, watch The Town, watch Gone Girl, watch all these movies that he could pull it off.
Don't get me wrong. I really did. I wasn't down on Ben Affleck. I just really couldn't see Ben Affleck as Batman. But Batman v Superman, still didn't see it. I will say, even though I knocked this movie also, I enjoyed him better in Justice League than I did in Batman v Superman. I will say another thing with Batman v Superman, Doomsday. Like, really? Like, my thing is, Doomsday is a character by itself, and and it's not just Batman v Superman. I'm kind of tired of a lot of times people really destroying Doomsday as a character. He's not just some
like random monster.
Yeah, random monster. Like, there's actually a comic book that details Doomsday's life from beginning to end, like beginning to him facing Superman. That's a really good comic book if you read it and you see how he was made and the lengths they went to make this super creature. And they kind of like every time, like even this goes back to Smallville. And I don't know if you guys can remember Smallville with how they made Doomsday. I was just like, yo, man, why do you guys keep kicking this character in the ass all the time? Like, y'all make him, like, really, what's wrong with you?
I mean, Doomsday is actually an intelligent creature.
Yeah, like, you just stop doing this. So that kind of didn't sit right with me. I did people didn't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I thought he was all right. I thought he was, kind of like a young Lex. Yeah. Maniacal.
More like Earth 2's Lex, right? Yeah.
Well, I think Earth 2's Lex was Alexander Luthor.
Well, with him, they kept referring to him as Lex Luthor Jr.
Yeah.
So because they kept calling him Jr., in my mind, I always thought eventually we'd get the actual senior Lex Luthor.
But I think senior's dead in this but it was fun. Batman v Superman just didn't sit right with me with the storylines. And then I remember when Justin goes, yo, they gave extra added footage. And I'm like, oh. So they extended the shit. They extended the trash that's going to come out. And then I was like, so I decided to sit down and watch it because you can't get on something without watching it. And I'm like, okay, so you took another 30 minutes of my life away to extend more stuff that I could care less about, when my biggest problem with the story, and a lot of people, it's just like, make it one or two stories together. Yeah,
you felt he put too many stories.
He put that in there. I was never a fan of Alfred being like Batman's co-pilot through everything. Like, okay, that's another thing I really had a problem with. Batman is his own, and he's a master detective, super intelligent, a fighter, and everything else. He doesn't need Alfred to teach. Like, don't get me wrong, Alfred has been there to help him through things, but he doesn't need, like, I feel like they make Alfred like his mentor. Like, he's the one leading him into being Batman. And then at this point in the story, he should already be Batman. I mean, if you have Jason Todd's Robin suit up there with it, at this point, Batman has already faced everything. Yeah. And you shouldn't have him like that. And I mean, that was just one part of it. But I will tell you, I had hope with DC. And we'll get into the versus part at the end where I'm not gonna. This is towards the end where
it's the appetizer.
Where I have an issue with it is, you started off with Lex gets away. You have Deathstroke come in, and it looks like they're about to start the Legion of Doom. And I remember watching this because Ant was there, Justin was there. And I'm like in my seat because part of it, I'm just like, this is where DC would forever have me never say anything bad about a movie ever again. If they had the Legion of Doom, and in the next movie, Justice League movie, is not anything about Darkseid. It's just the form, like they use the rest of the movies to form the Legion of Doom. And then these dudes find a swamp. And the dome comes out of the swamp. And the if he's still alive, I'm not sure. The voice from the Justice League cartoon, and like meanwhile at the Legion of Doom, for the rest of time, I will never badmouth another DC movie again. That's all it's gonna take. If it rises out of the water and that voice comes up, and you see them, and they're gonna have to find a Solomon Grundy just to sit there and just take up space.
I mean, honestly, they could always get back on that track because, like you said, they got Lex, they got Deathstroke, you got Black Manta, you got Cheetah in one. It's like the cast is already here.
DC's villains, for the most part, are still alive.
Yeah.
Unlike Marvel's villains, who just straight up dead.
And I will give you guys that
the Legion of Doom cast of characters is here.
Yeah,
like they're here. You know, the new Batman movies he's gonna fight like 17 people. So the villains are there. Somebody just needs to say, hey, listen, let's put these motherfuckers in a film. Like, let's just do a Legion of Doom movie since we have all the necessary characters, or like he said, alive and already present.
Yeah. And I will give you that. Like, what kills me about Marvel or something is just like you have great characters, and then all of a sudden you decide, okay, I'm gonna kill them off. Okay, I watched the the Avengers movie, and you had a great character for Captain America, and then all of a sudden it's just like Crossbones is dead. Crossbones is alive. Mind you, they've had different iterations of Crossbones in the comic books, but now all of a sudden Crossbones gone, dead. What is it? Not even Baron Zemo.
Which is a horrible villain, by the way.
No, Baron Zemo is not a terrible villain.
No, I'm talking about the Civil War Baron Zemo.
But I mean, he's still not, because you're gonna have him in. You're gonna have him in
Falcon show.
Falcon.
The same dude.
Yeah, because they're gonna expand on this character. He's not. I'm wondering if they're ever gonna give him the suit.
Oh, they revealed that at the Comic-Con before. I think it was in 19, where they actually did footage, or it was at a Comic-Con or D20. That Disney.
D23.
D23, where they actually had him as a clip, and he's actually putting the mask on.
Oh, okay. So they're gonna correct that one.
Yeah. So I can actually deal with that. But one of the things I just like, Marvel really does have an issue with taking a character and just killing them off. But then they bring that character back later, and they sit down and they say, okay, well, you know what? That character's dead, but he's going to come back. Like, there's going to be a point where Ultron is going to come back.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the versus section, but that's probably my main gripe with Marvel movies. It's just that it's hard for me to get emotionally invested. Like Endgame, love Endgame, love Infinity War, but it loses its impact the minute they're coming back the next movie. They're all coming back.
Well, okay, yeah, all right. No. You mean Infinity War?
Yeah, Infinity War loses its impact because next year later everybody's coming back.
No, but you know what? It still hurt in the theaters when you saw everybody. Like, there was a point, whether you knew that. I mean, in your heart, if they went, you knew that somehow they were going to come back, and how they came back was amazing. But it was like. I remember sitting in the theater and listening to people go, like, I heard some girl outright sobbing when they were sitting there. I was like, I'm just like, damn. Like, in my mind, I'm like, damn, him too. Damn, you took T'Challa. Yeah. Damn, you took Groot. Like, who? And
they only took T'Challa because they didn't know his movie was gonna make all that money.
Yep. That's why. True. Because Ryan Coogler begged him. He was like, please don't kill him off. Please don't kill him off. They was like, yo, we gotta kill him off.
Yeah. And I was like, go ahead.
And then they're like, his movie made how much money? They're like, shit, can we bring him back? And they was like, nah, it's too late. We didn't already shot it.
But they did say they were going to keep it to the original. What is it? The original 5?
Yeah. 6.
They came original 6 that was out. So
and Ant-Man.
And
he was in a quantum realm.
Yeah, he was in a quantum realm. It was like, yeah. What's going on here? He was like, y'all left me here. What happened?
He's like, it's only been 5 hours. And they're like, bro.
Oh, the MVP of Endgame's that rat. Because, I mean, that rat didn't release.
That's true. That's true.
And
Like random acts of like, you know, coincidence.
True. But I sat down and I was just like, okay, like it hurt. And to watch people get so emotionally involved in it. And that's what kind of ticks me off a little bit about DC. You know when I get emotionally involved in DC? When I watch the TV shows. When I watch, like, when you watch Flash, when you watch Arrow, when you watch, what else is that? Legends of Tomorrow.
Black Lightning?
Okay, first of all, we're not going to talk about Black Lightning. We had a long conversation on the train about Black Lightning because there was a point, and I remember Jerrell, we agreed on this. When you kill somebody's mama on TV, at the time we're in, my man didn't even like do it off camera in a slick way. He just got tired of her mouth and got out the car, just like bam.
Yep. And they showed it.
Yeah, and I was just like, when you kill somebody's mama on TV, I thought it was canceled. Like, I also thought it was canceled. When he said the N-word.
Yeah. When Robert Townsend called him the N-word, I was just like, oh, this ain't gonna last.
I was like, yo, we letting this one when the cops pulled him over.
Yeah, and like in the pilot, you seen Black Lightning?
Yeah.
When he got pulled over in the pilot, and that cop was like, "Get your black ass on the ground." I was just like,
"Yep, this is over."
I was like, "This the CW?"
Not even that. I was like, "This is." I was like, "It was good. It was good to have a black superhero."
Yeah, I was like, "Well, it was a good run."
It was like
3 years later. See, it was, but see that the whole thing when he shot the girl's mom, that was so powerful. Even like the main villain, Tobias Whale, at the end of the episode where he went to the prison and he rolled up on dude, he was like, even Tobias was like, "You shot somebody's mama?"
Yeah.
And I like when the villain says that, I'm like, yeah, y'all probably OD.
Yeah, but it was still Black Lightning got me invested. I will say, as of late, I'm kind of like not fully invested in Black Lightning because there's a point where I'm kind of stopping. Like, all right, you guys are just like. I like the fact that you added that they're in this and they're trying to get metahumans and everything else, but I'm just like, all right, you guys are dragging this. I want to see Black Lightning take on. I hate to say it, I don't want to be that revolutionary dude, but I want to see Black Lightning take on black subjects and things that, like, I would love to see a
version of Static.
I'm pretty sure that's coming in, but I would love to see Black Lightning take on the issues of right now. Like, what would you do?
Well, trust me, that's coming.
Yeah, that's
coming.
I don't need a full like what happened. Rest in peace. I don't want to have something with George Floyd, but something similar to that, where let me show. But then like if people be like, "Oh, you guys are overdoing it." This is.
Yeah, I don't want to make it too preachy.
Yeah, I don't want it preachy.
But they have a good balance though, because the one good thing about Black Lightning, he's a superhero second. Yeah. Like it's almost like you're watching a show about a black family who just happens to have superpowers.
Yeah,
it's true.
But they don't. But the producer Salim Akil, he even said sometimes when he's writing the show, like he'll write the script and then the studio will be like, well, he has superpowers, right? He's like he'll forget to put the superpower aspect into the show because he's just trying to write this black family, but. The studio does a good job of like making sure he doesn't go too far, but still letting him, keep it black because Black Light is one of the realest TV shows like on like that's out there right now.
And that I will give DC. But speaking of DC shows, so we can transition to that. We're gonna talk about Stargirl, which is DC's newest
latest series.
Yeah, latest series is out, and I will say. Another series that I will walk back where I was just like, look at this, here we go. Like they're gonna tell me like here's DC's approach to, because like Marvel has B team movies. Like all their characters, like if you look at Ant-Man, he's not in the comic book, he's still top tier, but like you see his movies as not being top tier. Thor, even though he's a main Avenger, his movies don't necessarily have to be top tier. Who else in Marvel doesn't have a top tier movie? I'm not gonna say Black Panther because Black Panther is
Black Widow technically.
No, Black Widow, I still would give it its top tier props. Guardians of the Galaxy, it's
Definitely.
not a top tier,
but it became top tier.
Yeah, the first one did, and the characters have. But when I saw Stargirl, I was like, oh boy. I was like, because don't get me wrong, I had high hopes for Titans. Mm-hmm.
You were like, what basement did they pull Stargirl out?
Like I had high hopes for Titans, and then when I went to the preview at Comic-Con, and I was just like, I saw the first 2 episodes. It wasn't until the last 10 minutes of the episode where I was like, this has potential, but you kind of almost lost me after the first episode and a half of this because I don't know what you guys were thinking. Like you got me the first 5 minutes, and then you kind of like dragged this on, and then the last like 15, 20 minutes of episode 2 of Titans, I was just like, okay, this could be something, and then it went from there.
Yeah. Because Titans picks up like the Doom Patrol episode and the episode where they were all at the end, like the motor inn where they're fighting the nuclear family. Yeah. Like that's when the show starts
the nuclear family is
yeah.
But it's like, but whereas Doom Patrol from the jump got me, like Doom Patrol was good from episode, and even till now, Doom Patrol was still top tier. Because
like you just said with Titans, you kind of had to figure out what Titans was going to be. Doom Patrol told you from the very beginning, this is going to be some straight up tomfoolery. You're just going to have to accept this fuckery.
True.
Because when Robot Man said to Larry, he was just like, yo, how did it feel being buried alive with your cat? I was just like, yo, I can't fuck with this shit.
And I was like, yo, listen, this is a good show.
Yeah, because they don't care.
Yeah, but when it came to Stargirl, I was just like, okay, let me watch this. So when I saw the first episode,
hold on, you skipped Swamp Thing. Did you watch Swamp Thing?
Yes, I did, and I enjoyed the hell out of Swamp Thing.
I'm so disappointed that they're not getting a second season.
You know, and that's what takes me off. Like, yo, DC, whatever the issue was in Louisiana, go fix it. Go fix it. Like you can't.
I mean, or you don't have to shoot it in Louisiana.
No, I think it's North Carolina.
Wherever
it's North Carolina,
wherever it was
a tax break issue.
Yeah,
They were they thought they were going to get a certain amount of money for tax breaks. They didn't get the tax breaks that they thought they would, and because they didn't get all that money, they couldn't finish production.
So someone messed up the paperwork.
Yeah, I'm like, and I understand that, but I'm like, well, then shoot it somewhere else.
Clerical error.
And go fix it. Like where you shot it, that's not the only swamp. like on the planet,
or a makeshift swamp. Go fix it. I don't care whatever you do.
Toronto, like you do all the other CW.
I don't care. You listen. I don't care what you do. Go fix it.
But you know that CW bought the rights to Swamp Thing, and because there's no TV shows coming out in the fall because of COVID, because all the shows aren't going to come back until January.
Yeah,
they're actually gonna in the fall they're gonna show Swamp Thing on the CW, which means they're gonna have to edit the F out of it. Before they put it on TV.
And the thing is,
but that could save it though. If they edit out like the cursing and everything, and they put it on the CW, that might save it.
I don't want a CW Swamp Thing.
No, go like in the end, go fix it. Like I don't.
There's too much CW as it is, and they're just gonna make it a romantic drama between Alan and the girl, like
him and Abby.
Yes,
go. That's my thing.
A relationship between him and the Green.
Yeah, my thing is just go fix it. Go sit down, do what you have to do, and fix what the issue is. And Swamp Thing is good, but Stargirl, when it came out, I was just like, okay, I watched the first episode, and it was really well done. It did remind me a little bit of the crossover episode in Smallville, where you had all the superheroes in the Justice Society, but it was really well done. And I was just like, okay, hold on, like look at how they did this, and I was just like, okay, the heroes didn't win. The Justice Society prevailed. The
Injustice Society.
The Injustice Society, prevailed. They took out everybody, and I was just like, okay, like this is all right. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like part of it that kind of got annoying was Stargirl's delusion. Like, this is my father, and I'm like,
Pat telling her like Starman wasn't your dad.
Yeah, and then like this one point, this is gonna come out really bad. I was like, you have no black friends, do you? Because black friends would tell you like, yo, look, your daddy wasn't around.
Welcome to the club.
That's not gonna. We're gonna end up having to edit that out. But that's a bad stereotype. But we were just like, all right, you're like, really? You're gonna sit down and tell me like you're so hell bent on your father being this great guy. Okay, I get it. That's part of the story. Like, she was looking for a father figure, which she already had one in her life already now.
She had Pat.
Yeah, and you're sitting down and you're saying, okay, like, the staff chose her. I do like the fact that they didn't make her, like, she had no athletic skills to begin with. She was a gymnast.
Yeah, that was it. She was a gymnast.
Yeah, she had some fighting skills. And it kind of made it work. And then I was just like, okay, the episodes, the first, who was it? Brain, what's his name? The villain. The first
Icicle?
No, not Icicle.
Brainwave.
Brainwave. When she fought Brainwave, I was like, okay, that was cool and cool. Pat, I did love when Pat sat down and made the entire robot. And I was like, he shows up at the end, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And I do like the fact that through most of the season, Brainwave spent his time in the hospital.
Well, yeah, because he was too powerful.
Yeah, and I think that kind of made it like, okay, this makes sense now. I do like what they did with each character. Instead of having Wildcat, I mean, in the comic book, Wildcat
he was a fighter.
He was an excellent fighter, but then they kind of gave like the girl who took his suit.
Well, she was an amateur boxer. Like,
yeah, but
they showed her downstairs practicing her boxing, and they foreshadowed that. So this way, when she puts the costume on, you don't get on her for being able to, like, how she know how to fight. It's like, we're going to have this scene of her downstairs punching a bag with boxing gloves on.
But also the suit gives her the ability to jump, land on her feet, and do whatever this, which I'm not sure. I have to go back and read in Wildcat's story if that actually is something that happens. I'm not sure, because I'm not going to say like I know Wildcat's story. I do know a lot about a lot of comic books, but I'm not sure about that with Wildcat. But that I had no problem with that. Our Man, who was definitely an obscure character. All right. And you know what's funny? They're right. DC and Marvel make characters similar to each other, because Iron Man, I think in Marvel, I want to say it's Sandman, or there's another dude where he leaves his body for an hour, and
that would be Negative Man and Doom Patrol.
Yeah, but it's the same premise that he has an hour to get back in his body, or something like that. Same thing with Negative Man, like he has a certain amount of time outside of his body. Or Sleepwalker, that's the name of the character, Sleepwalker. But I was like, I like the character with Our Man. What is it? Shining Knight?
Yeah, Shining Knight was the guy from King Arthur's court.
Yeah, which is in the comic. He
has Excalibur.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought that was a really good character. I did love the villain's children.
Yeah,
I do think they really shitted on the magician's son. Like,
when they killed him, and it was like episode 2, they killed him.
Yeah, I was like, I really think they shitted on him, period. Like what they did with that, and because I think that he was ready. He had lived his life in that town so long, he didn't agree with what. Yeah,
he was over it. Yeah, he was over the villain shit.
Yeah, and I was like, okay,
they have Artemis.
Yeah. Which is going to be very weird, because if you have Sportsmaster and Tigress as the parents, how are you going to, either Artemis is going to be the villain, or Artemis is going to
and this is Earth 2 now.
Yes, this is Earth 2.
Because at the crisis, this became Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2.
So
it's like, and that's awkward now.
Yeah, so how are you going to have Artemis in that? But I'm going to say overall.
Well, hold on. What about Beth? Forgot about Beth.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of black kids with parents. Okay. Like her mom's a doctor. Her dad is a politician, or whatever the hell Icicle did for a living.
Icicle wasn't her dad.
No, but he worked for her. Beth's dad worked for Icicle's for his company.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what I like? Beth was cool, but Beth was like
Beth and Chuck. Old Chuck.
Beth was too much of Beth was the nerd that everybody loves but will get annoyed with later.
Really quickly.
Right? Yeah. And I love Beth, but I think they should have did more with Beth and giving her, like, her skills were great, but they shouldn't. I like that they, and this is a spoiler alert, I like that they kind of destroyed the goggles, because it gives her a chance to either fix the goggles and become something else, and not just be like, oh, well, I'm dependent on the goggles. Like, let me get this girl who nobody pays attention to or found annoying. Let's give her whatever it is.
Well, it also it brings, like, from a character, it brings her out of that whole thing where she was like, "Oh, Chuck was my best friend." I'm like, bitch, you got like 3 people like standing right behind. Like, I'd be offended, you know, like if I was the rest of them, I'm like, we've been, which, like, I gave you the goggles.
I mean, for me, I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting tired of these Green Lantern teasers and not paying off. I mean, freaking Diggle. Now we got this one with Alan Scott. I know that HBO Max is coming out with a show. I'm like, look, motherfuckers, y'all don't show me something soon. Show me a construct or something. Enough.
And seeing what Arrow gave you nothing but
a green light.
They gave you, hey John, how come you're not wearing your ring references?
Or at the end of the series finale, oh, it's a box.
Yeah, with the green
screen.
I mean, Stargirl dead ass showed you the lantern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I
I was like, so we really pushing this, huh?
I mean, but there are other characters they showed, like at the end, like, well, that and
the
at
helmet.
the end of the post credits was what's his name? What's the name's daughter?
I know who you're talking about.
The serpent dude, the one.
Oh, Cindy.
Yeah, she picks up Prism. But also what they didn't explain is the pen.
Yeah, the pink pen.
Yeah, the pink pen,
which is still sitting in her room.
Yeah, which obviously has to have something to do with Prism. So I'm wondering who they're gonna bring out next, which is gonna be a wonderful thing. But overall, I want to say Stargirl was a definite watch. Like, if you have the DC app or you watch the CW app, you definitely should sit down and take a look at it and just watch it, because it's worth it. It's not, like I said, there's sometimes, like, I watch something in DC and I'll be like, okay, this is trash, but if it's good, I'll walk it back and say, no, I actually took a look at it. And to give you a little history on that, I actually said the same thing about Arrow in the beginning. Oh. Like, it was a comic book, and it was a comic book, one of the comic book stores I went to in Long Island, where he actually broke something down for me. It was just like, look, you can't have the traditional Green Arrow like you would, like, in the comic book. Like, the villains can't be these super
chipper.
Yeah, like, no, not super chipper, but like these super villains with certain powers. And this man in the Arrow shoots. They have to be more realistic to what he's doing. And after that, I think season 1 came on Netflix, and I sat down and watched it, and was just like, wow, I'm thoroughly impressed. Like, this is good. And I have to say the same thing about Stargirl. That being said, the last scene,
we're bringing back Starman?
No, that part I'm fine with. Like,
I'm not, but
that part, like, it's dead winter. Why she still wearing short sneakers and a crop top, flying around in the air, and like, everybody else has winter coats on. She's like, all right, you know what? Happy ending. I'm gonna hop on my staff. I'm not gonna dress in a winter coat. I'm gonna dress in an outfit.
Maybe she's immune to the cold.
How? Like, yo.
Maybe season 2 we'll find out.
It's like the staff like warms her up.
Yeah, I don't.
It does illuminate late, right? So I mean,
did you see the season finale?
I did see that. I did see that. I fast forward a little bit.
So I have a question. What did you think about? Well, both of you. What did you think about how they treated the resolution of the villains? Like, for instance, they fought Cindy, they knocked her out, and then just left her there and went on about their business. They beat up Sportsmaster and Tigress and just went home. The gambler was doing his computer thing. He closed up shop. He left, and nobody went to his house to go get him.
I'm going to give you an executive, from an executive standpoint. We're already green light for season 2, and we ain't trying to do no more casting. We just going to bring these people back.
But they had those people. But also, here's another problem. When they did the scene where she was flying around in the cold, it fast forwarded 6 months later, and it was Christmas time.
It's a DC thing.
So it's 6 months later since this whole brainwashing incident happened. You realize that the principal's mama, like the fiddler,
yes,
his mama died, and like nobody told him. Like, it's Christmas time.
Oh my God, you boy! I have to stop and think about that. I sincerely,
her death, and remember, she died in episode 12.
Yeah.
Stargirl had 13 episodes, so you gave us episode 13. Fast forwarded 6 months later, and we, like, for all we know, she's still dead on the floor.
Yeah. And I had to stop and think about that. I was like, Sportsmaster and Tigress are just foul. Yeah. Like, cause you just. Like, she stood up for herself, and then, like, you guys was just like,
yep. She's like, you're a bad parent. She was like, bitch, now you crossed the line.
And I had to stop and say, like, nobody puts like. I'm gonna give them props. I love the dude they cast to play Sportsmaster because he is an asshole.
Yeah.
Like he is. From like, there's no difference from him in the live action to the cartoon.
Yeah.
And you have to sit back, and that's hard to find. Like, you have to sit down and be like, well, damn, dude, you sitting in the mirror, and you're just like, it's like, yo, I'm gonna bring out my Axe cologne, and like, and
I'm gonna ass in Young Justice.
Yeah, like, I was like, I'm gonna break everything. I was like, really? Come on. But this dude, they picked like, he was great casting for that.
Yeah, you were. And like, him and his wife are weird though. Like their whole like sports, like competitive dynamic is almost just like, I don't even want to think about how Artemis was conceived. like yo, who's? I don't want to say that. Like, I don't want to take it that far. Like, yo, who's gonna come first? Yeah, yeah. You know, like, and the way that they raise her, they're just like, all right, you know, make sure you drink your protein, do your push-ups, do 100. So I'm like, is this a child or a soldier? And then she's like the captain of the football team. She tackling motherfuckers in the hallway.
But I'm curious what's gonna happen now that it's off the DC universe, and now CW has officially picked it up. So you know, CW and a budget. I'm wondering if it's going to have the same budget.
Well, they said well, I don't know about the budget, but they said that they're going to make the same show despite the fact that it's on CW. That's what they said.
Oh, so hopefully they keep the same budget, because I mean, the production was excellent.
Yeah. See, but that also depends too, because you got to remember, CW shows, with the exception of Black Lightning and Legends of Tomorrow, usually get like 22 seasons.
Yeah.
Stargirl only got 13 because it was an app show.
Yeah.
So are they going to give them 22 episodes now, or are they going to keep it at 13?
I will keep it 13.
Yeah, if they keep it at 13, then the budget shouldn't be a problem, because Black Lightning and Legends only get like 16 episodes a season, because there's a lot of effects that go in. Like, they're on a freaking time ship. Yeah. Like, for Christ's sake, so they can't afford to do that shit 22 times a season. Well,
that, and I think most shows should stay to 16 episodes, 16 weeks, because when you start getting into 22 episodes, you're gonna have to take that mid-season break.
Yeah,
and
which I hate.
I think it's okay if the show, if it's something worth coming back, but there's a lot of filler episodes that you kind of get tired of watching.
Yes.
And I don't want to really see filler episodes with certain shows. What I really want is, I want you to get in, give me the action, give me what I want to see, and then get out and have me talk about this. Like, you know who does that very well? Rick and Morty. Mm-hmm. Rick and Morty gives you 10 episodes. And I mean, don't get me wrong, in the beginning, Rick and Morty had you like a crack fiend. After season 2, you literally waited damn near 3 years, 2.5, 3 years before season 3 came out. And it was to the point where it was so popular that people clamored for. I mean, I think people wrote things in the Cartoon Network, like Adult Swim, like, yo, we're going to get Rick and Morty or what? Yeah, like, we're going to get this. And I'd rather a show be like that, where I can't wait till it comes back. Like, I'm so, like, it stays on my mind, than to sit down there and just be like, okay, I saw this season. There are a lot of shows like that. I'm like, I saw this season. It's like, I didn't even care. Like, it was coming back next year. It's like, oh, in 2 weeks, like, for instance, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like, oh, yeah, it's back.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling about The Flash right now.
Yeah, like, in The Flash, too. Like, I remember I couldn't wait for The Flash to come back. And it's like, oh, Flash, the next season of Flash. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Like, the Thinker season just derailed me. I was just like,
you didn't like The Thinker?
Oh,
they took L's in that season. Like they were like, every episode. Like, I think the reason why a lot of people hated The Thinker season was just because every episode they were losing.
Oh, that's not even that.
It was like metahumans were getting killed. He's like, oh, snatch another one, got you again, Flash. You were just like, damn, B.
For me, it was just boring. I was just like, okay, I'm not sure whether it was the actor that wasn't captivating enough for me, but it was just like, but they can't keep going to the speed. My disappointment with The Flash is that they kind of messed up the Rogues Gallery. I was really hoping Killer Frost would have had her own season where she actually turned and really, like, you start her off good and then you actually turn to Killer Frost and dedicate an entire season to her. I thought that would have been perfect, but no, they just, and my major, and I'm pro DC, but my thing I hate is this constant Team Arrow, Team Flash, Team Legends Tomorrow. We got Lois and Superman coming out. Are we gonna have a Team Kent? You know, I mean, everybody always has to have a team, but in comic, they don't really have all this help. They're smart.
That's true.
Well, Team Flash is getting smaller if your mans would stop saying racist shit and pulling his stuff out, we wouldn't have lost Elongated Man. I mean that leaves it open for Plastic Man. But yo, there's a point where I was watching this, I was like, what did you? Okay, this is gonna be another prequel into DC. Okay. Yo, what are these dudes doing? First, you got Elongated Man wilding out, like saying the wildest thing to women in there. Like, you want to see what I can elongate? Then you got the dude that plays the Flash in the
Ezra
movie,
Miller,
who can't stay out of trouble to save us. Like every time they get ready, okay, we're gonna shoot this week and we're gonna get a gun. Now Ezra locked up. Yeah, your man's is locked up. Yo, he went in the bar, was like, yeah, I'm gonna flash my foot in your ass if you don't get away from me. Like, I'm like, damn, how do you guys?
Yeah, you had Ben with his alcoholism problems.
Nah, but if I was Ben and I played that first version of Batman v Superman, I'd drink too.
I mean, DC choosing, DC actors got more demons than Marvel.
Yeah.
So,
it seems the only two people chilling out is Gal Gadot and what's his name to play Shazam.
And Cavill too.
Yeah.
Well, Jason Momoa. I mean, that's just who he is.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing Jason Momoa does that like people just forgive. Yeah. Like he comes out, he throws an axe at something. They're like, oh, that's just Jason.
Like his personal life was so bad they just made that his character.
Yeah, which is it works for him.
Yeah, it does.
But Shazam, and that's another thing. Shazam was very good for DC, and you can sit down and just say, okay, like they're doing a lot with it, and to know that Black Adam will be coming out.
The great one.
I'm gonna give something that Justin and I had a conversation about, and I don't know if people agree. Me personally, I wanted the adult version of Shazam to be John Cena.
Wow.
Just so I could see John Cena and The Rock go at it.
That could have worked, though.
That would have been the funniest. Because you know what? John Cena has played a childlike actor that's hilarious. Like, he's just fun. Like, to be honest with you, despite whether you like him in wrestling, John Cena is very funny.
He has comedic chops. He definitely does.
He is very funny. And what I do love about it is, like, can you imagine him and The Rock? Like, they were funny when they did their WrestleMania stuff. But can you imagine him and The Rock as like superhero and villain? Like,
see, I would have accepted that because it's character appropriate. Because like one of the issues that I have with Marvel is that everybody can't be funny. Like let the funny people be the funny people. Like I'm fine with Tony Stark telling jokes. I'm fine with Ant-Man because that's
we'll get to that.
Yeah, because that's Paul Rudd. He can tell jokes. Certain people can tell jokes. I don't need Black Panther telling jokes. Like if you're gonna give me Thor Ragnarok, I don't need the Hulk walking around with his ass cheeks out. Like I want Hulk smash. I don't want Hulk go cry in the corner like a baby.
No. But you got to understand also in Ragnarok, that was just a really good, well done movie with everybody just had to be funny. Because Thor was really...
Well, I got used to him being
on point. He was really on point with that. And you're kind of right. I don't need everybody to be funny. But T'Challa didn't have to be funny.
No, that's why I like Black Panther. I'm like, at least someone's taking this shit seriously.
Someone's acting like a king.
Yeah. But you know what? T'Challa was awkwardly funny.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't like, oh my God, I'm laughing. He was just awful. You're like
his seriousness was funny.
Yeah, you were just like, don't make that joke again. like
we don't do that here.
Yeah, exactly. Like T'Challa was funny, like how he was on Saturday Night Live playing the character.
Yeah,
he was funnier because he was just
he was being dead ass.
Yeah, he played it straight, and that's what made it funny for him.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's how it is. But that's what I do like about some DC characters being funny, and some DC characters like, okay, like please, like when we talked about awkward jokes, Suicide Squad, where they had what's his name, Killer Croc.
Yeah,
like
God,
when he stopped and he said, "I live in the water, y'all just visited." I went, okay, this is where his part. He should have gone into the water, and there was like a bomb should have went off, and that was the end of him. Yeah. From the rest of
I need BET.
I was about to bring that up. That
I was like, why we made my man black? Like
I can defend a lot of DC movies. Like I could defend Batman v Superman with some valid points. Yeah. I can't defend Suicide Squad, and even the most hardcore DC fans just like.
And
we gotta take this one out.
But it depends on what the criticism about Suicide Squad is, because
I can defend Suicide Squad, and it's not for me. But
Amanda Waller, I thought that was
perfect. Amanda Waller,
that was perfect casting. El Diablo was
Amanda
good.
Waller, of course. Harley.
Yeah, I like Will Smith as Deadshot.
Yeah,
I mean, Will was still Will though. Yeah. I mean, like that wasn't much of a stretch.
No, but he was like I'm villain. He was villain Will though.
No, but he was still more anti-hero.
Yeah, like he still had to be kind of. He had to have some like he wasn't bad. Like you felt bad for the dude. Like you had to feel bad for Will Smith. Like even when he's bad, you still got to cheer for Will Smith. He's gonna get his daughter.
Like even when him and Batman fought, and Batman locked him up, you're like, yeah, Batman got another one. But then when you see like his daughter hugging him on the couch, you're like, ah, shit.
It was just like for me, like watching it was just like, how are we gonna put Will Smith over? To use wrestling terms, how are we gonna put Will Smith over in this movie?
I mean, he did. And I mean, I was fine with it, but we all have to agree we did not like Macaulay Culkin Joker.
He did.
Actually, I like Gangster Joker.
No. That is not gangster. That was Macaulay Culkin Joker. The only thing he didn't do was slap his face like look in the camera.
Yeah, because they cut that part out.
Probably, listen, he I don't know what was wrong with Jared Leto with that character. My thing is, I think he heard what Heath Ledger did and tried too hard with it. Because the thing is, if you see what Heath Ledger did, he played the Joker. He played that anarchist Joker to a T, to the point where, just like the original Batman movie with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
I had to stop and go, this is not a Batman movie. This is a Joker movie. This is him. And it's the same thing where we had an argument about Joaquin Phoenix. I could not see him. When I saw the first outfit, I was just like, what the...
And I said, wait for it.
I was like, yo, listen, how you get my man? That's the outfit you dress your cousin up who has no friends and got invited to the prom as a joke.
Wow.
And he went into his closet and like you pull out like your grandfather's old suit from like 1920 when that was cool and you put it on him. And I will say, I will walk this back again. I'll walk it back. That man made me a believer in that Joker. Like I sat down and said, and it was so dark to the point where I was just like, okay, I now have my Jokers at number 1 would be Mark Hamill. Number 2, Heath Ledger. Number 3, I will give Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh wow, okay.
He's a mix. At number 3, number 4, I will 1966 Joker. I will have to say
Cesar
Romero. Yeah. I will give him at number 4 because he's a classic.
He was classic. Jack is number 5?
But I already put Jack at number 1.
Oh no, you said Mark Hamill's number 1.
No. Okay, so then I have to rephrase that. Jack, I would have to put at number 3, and it was hard for me to take him out of number 2. And I would have to go 4 Cesar Romero and number 5. 4 Joaquin Phoenix, number 5 Cesar Romero. So I would have to put those as my Jokers, where Mark Hamill, strictly for his voice, will constantly be the number 1 Joker out there. And that was still a tough one between him and Jack Nicholson, because Jack Nicholson played his ass off in that role. Heath is just, damn, man, you can't, if you leave him off a list, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like watching that Joker, you can't walk away and just say, oh, he's not at the top 5, which is why Jared Leto's Joker was so disappointing, because it was like, dude, you have a chance to sit in a long... First of all, Cesar played the Joker in 1966. You couldn't get enough acting chops to push this man down to number 6.
And this Joker had a mustache.
Yes.
See, but he had elements of both like, Heath Ledger. Because the thing with Jack Nichols's Joker was a gangster mob Joker.
Yeah.
The Heath Ledger was a
anarchist.
He was an anarchist, like just for this, like chaos for the sake of chaos. Like Heath Ledger's Joker, he was kind of just like, I just do dumb, crazy shit for the sake of doing it, but I'm also a gangster.
Oh, you talking about Jared Leto?
Yeah, Jared Leto. He tried to give you the crazy and the gangster.
The man had grills in his teeth.
Yeah, like, okay, that lost me right there. Like when he looked at Common's character, like, you don't want to beef, you don't want to beef. I was like, okay, what are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing?
What Joker is in the Rick Ross rap video?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when I was just like, all right, this is done. That's when they were like, oh, Ben Affleck's not doing a movie anymore with Jared Leto. His Batman's not going to get a movie. It was like, good. No, I'm not disappointed.
Because you know what happened? Ben saw that performance and was like, oh, hell no. He was like, oh, hell no.
This is my Joker?
Nah, son. He was like, yo, anybody want to go get Enchantress to resurrect a spell to bring Heath back? Like, I'm not doing this. Like, yo.
Don't you got some stock footage of Heath that we can like?
Come on, Mark Hamill. We can't put Mark Hamill in some makeup?
De-age him?
Wow. He said de-age him. I did have an issue with June Moon though. Not as a character, but it's like, bitch, what was your plan?
To turn people into like sludge, whatever.
I have no idea what her actual
in that dance. Because
like she was doing like the floating like ring of garbage.
Yeah.
And the whole time I'm like, and then what? Like no one has been able to answer that. She was like, all right, so she's going to create this beam of light. It's going to create a ring of garbage. And then what?
But I mean, since we're on topics of DC, before we get to the versus section, Birds of Prey. For me, I was like, what the fuck was this? I hated that movie.
I like Birds of Prey.
I hate Birds of Prey.
Yo, you know what? Birds of Prey was...
They completely botched Cassandra Cain.
That I agree with completely.
Yeah,
Birds of Prey was what it was, which is why...
I like Montoya.
Which I'm going to tell you this, which is why until you brought it up, nobody remembered it. Like,
exactly.
Until you... Like, because it was supposed to bring... And then here's what's so bad about it. It was to the point where they couldn't even leave it as Birds of Prey. They had to say Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey just to get people to run and see it.
But they never should have called it Birds of Prey to begin with.
Yeah. Birds of Prey shouldn't even been in the first place.
Yeah, because I mean, if you want to plug them in, fine. But the movie should have just been called Harley Quinn because the Birds of Prey isn't a popular. It's not a popular.
No, they are popular to a point, but the characters themselves.
I'm talking as far as like mainstream people, like people who are
casual.
Yeah, like casual fans will see Birds of Prey and they're like, what the F is that? They'll see Harley Quinn and be like, oh, I know Margot Robbie. So that was just, and nobody was going to put that long ass title.
And what pisses me off is that originally it was going to be Gotham City Sirens with Catwoman and Poison Ivy, but Margot
didn't want to be overshadowed.
She didn't want to be overshadowed. Yeah. And that's what happens. And this is one problem I have with DC. You give the actors executive power, executive producer credit. I'm like, oh, but understarred. I wanted this. And this is why we got our Snyder cut.
Yeah, instead of the no, you're right. I mean, instead of the directors, because remember the black dude who was supposed to direct the Flash movie?
Yeah,
like he quit.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, well, if you're going to listen to them.
If you're going to listen to Ezra Miller.
Yeah, like, what the fuck you need me for?
Which that brings us now to our versus portion.
Hail
of
Snyder.
The show, right? Fuck Snyder. like, it brings us to it. So the reason why we came up with this is that Justin and I do have different opinions about not just Marvel and DC. We do have different opinions in anime, certain comics, certain storylines, and we can be honest about what's good and what's not. But what brought this first episode of Versus comes along with when they announced the Snyder Cut.
Finally.
And I remember getting online, Instagram and everything, and I want to shout out all our Instagram fans, everybody out there. Also, special shout out to Gotham Geek Girl, who will be on here for the next one. We came in and we were just like, okay, everybody was just like, oh my God, yay, the Snyder Cut. And and I'm like, and I remember sitting there reading this and I was like, so you're going to put sprinkles on top of shit and you just really want to, like, he's the savior of it? Like, I remember, and Jerrell was online when we went to go see the Altered Carbon fan premiere. And we were talking to other fans of DC and it's like, okay, so you clamoring for a Snyder Cut and you just couldn't get it right the first time? And it's like, you had to switch out directors. Like, what made you take him off it in the first place? Which, don't tell me the length of the movie. I don't care if the movie's 3.5 hours long. As long as, I mean, look, I had to take a running bathroom break for Endgame. Like, I really waited to say, like, okay, this has to be a boring part, which it wasn't, and dashed out of the theater And I didn't have one of those theaters where the bathroom was on the same floor. I literally had to run downstairs, almost bust my ass, and I got bad knees, and dip around the corner. And mind you, the people there knew what I was running for. Run into the bathroom, take a piss. I've got a timer on my smartwatch, like showing me like I could not miss no more than 3 minutes of this movie. Because that's the only thing I can say, like, okay, if I miss 3.5 minutes of this movie, I might miss too much.
Yeah, it's going to take you 3 minutes to run downstairs.
Okay. Listen, dude, it took me, I literally got down them stairs in 1 minute and 2 seconds. Okay. Got downstairs, hit the bathroom, peed. I think my bladder was like, yo, man, what's the rush? Yeah, right. like, peed, washed my hands, ran straight to the girl didn't even ask me for my other ticket. She said, go ahead, I know. Went up the escalator, not standing there, ran up the escalator, got upstairs, sat back in my seat. What did I miss? And I think I missed Tony Stark's going back in time. They're picking him going back in time to see his father. So I got to see him talk to his father. Yeah. But that was it.
Yeah, but let's be honest. You knew you were going to see the movie more than once.
Yeah, but
it's the first experience.
It's the first time you didn't want to miss not one thing. Because you go back to see a movie to see the extra shit in it.
Yeah, of course.
That you missed. But when it came down, I didn't care. If you're going to let Zack Snyder do it, let him do it. I don't care if he put out a 3.5, even 4 hour movie. If I'm going to sit there through it and it's good, I'm going to sit there through 4 hours and watch this. But then we get there and it's like, okay, you could tell there's in the movie, there were 2 directors in it. And there was a point where I was just like, okay, you guys did not flesh out. Like, I was not happy that Steppenwolf was the villain. I can accept him being a villain if he was like a villain that was dispatched quickly. And then somehow Darkseid like showed up. He didn't have to show up to Darkseid. That's another debate. Okay,
you're the only person on this planet that I know that calls him Darkseid.
I'm not the only one, because when he was first introduced, a lot of people said Darkseid, Darkseid. Like, that's a debate.
They even joked about it in the Harley Quinn cartoon. Yeah, remember when the planet he was like Darkseid. I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So when he came, and mind you, I've said Darkseid before. Like, I just said, I don't know why it came out Darkseid, but if he would have came out and then it was just like this quick battle between him and them, and he defeats the Justice League, but not defeats them to the point where but he comes in as like, this is just a taste of my power and me, what you're in for. Kind of like how Thanos did it. Like, yo, when I show up, I'm showing up. I'm showing up to wreck shit.
Yeah, because Thanos wasn't in the first Avengers movie.
Nope. And
only post credit.
Yeah. If you would have done that, I could deal with it. But then, like, Steppenwolf was such a boring. Like, even his death at the end was just so boring. I was like, yeah, I made him go out like a punk. He was running around whooping ass, and then like he gets feared because the Kryptonian shows up.
Dude, I absolutely with 100% passion hate the Justice League movie. With pure, utter rage. Like, I literally was on TNT yesterday, and I went upstairs, and my aunt's watching it, and I just got this rage feeling, and I was like, can you change the channel? I'm just here to wash my dishes, but can you just change the channel? I don't want to even hear audio while I'm washing my dishes. That's how much I hate this movie. It's disgusting.
But here's the thing though, because your complaints are valid, but with that being said, you know that the result that you got came from a studio shakeup with change of direction. Yeah. So it's almost like you know something's gonna be bad, and now you're mad because it sucked.
No, but I didn't think it was gonna be bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't have the hate he had for the Justice League. I actually like parts of it where I thought
it does have a lot of good parts.
Yeah, it had parts of it, but then I'm just not with the DC fans to think. Here's my thing, and I've had a DC fan say this, and this is what type annoys me. A lot of DC fanboys think that the Snyder Cut is going to somehow eclipse everybody's attitude towards the Avengers movies. Like, you're going to see the Snyder Cut and you're going to be like, Endgame who? Infinity War what? Like, you have to understand, Marvel took 10 years to build that story, and they did it right. It took 10 years to pull you into that story to the point where you, like, I remember somebody put out online the actual order you should actually watch all the Infinity War saga. You shouldn't just watch it how they did it with Iron Man first, and then like you really should start with Captain America, the first Avenger, and then it mixes the movies up where you like if you watch it the regular way, you're gonna get confused. But this is the order you literally should watch this in. And my thing is with the Justice League, they mixed certain things up. Like I really feel like they did a great job with Wonder Woman. Shazam, you can push that off to the future because Shazam is supposed to be after Justice League. Aquaman was in the middle of both because they even referenced
it was afterwards.
Yeah, it was afterwards. Like because they referenced that he fought Steppenwolf. Okay, which still kind of didn't make any sense to me because I was just like, okay, so he fought Steppenwolf with his regular mom's trident and whooped his ass, but then goes against his brother, and his brother like fucks him over, beats the hell out of him.
Well, he had a team. He had a team with him.
Well, in a way, he wasn't in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always on land.
That's true because his brother even said he was just like, brother, he's like, you've lived on the surface and now you want to come to my house and try to defeat me under the sea.
But then what bugged me out is like he got the iconic suit which people hated. I liked it. I liked
it. It actually looked, the colors worked.
It worked.
So then he gets the suit, he gets to try it, and he goes out and then he whoops ass. But that's here nor there. We're gonna talk about the verses with Snyder. So I'm gonna go. My main gripe with the Snyder Cut is that you're going to add stuff. If they would have added another hour worth of stuff, I could probably accept it. I could probably sit down and watch it, and I could probably sit down and go, this might make the movie better. You're adding 5 hours worth of stuff, and now you have to make it episodic. And you're going to sit down and say, okay, this is going to take part of a movie that people didn't like in the first place and make it make sense. Like, okay, this is what Superman was doing with the black suit and he visits. Okay, that's fine. I do think that was a little quick. It worked for me though.
But he explained why the black suit was happening.
Yeah, no. It worked for me that he picked up Lois, he went back to the farm, he started to get back to himself, right? And then he started to remember who he was, then he saw his mom. That worked for me. I don't think that was a bad part of the movie. It worked, but now you want to add the black suit and what he was doing. I don't know what he's going back to do. But
you got to remember, it's not so much like, oh, now he wants to add. This is what he wanted to do from jump.
No. I know. This is just for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you want to add more stuff with Cyborg. This is okay. Let's take it as this is what he wanted to do. Now you have the whole Cyborg story. Cyborg is supposed to be the heart of the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Do I think he should have been? No. I think the Flash is more the heart of the Justice League. So you take that. Then what are you going to add more? You're going to add more with Batman. You're going to add more with Wonder Woman. You're going to add more stuff. Okay, you show us a picture of Darkseid. We knew Darkseid was coming from from Batman v Superman. So you want to show us another preview of him coming? Like, oh, they foretold this. He was etched on a board somewhere. What else are you going to put into it that's going to... Sometimes I just feel like DC fans are reaching so hard. My thing is, you have a blueprint to do DC right. You have the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
You started it. You have a point where you can literally have people erase and forget about everything that went on. And you could literally start over with that because you know what? They've always said, oh, DC doesn't want to do what Marvel did. They don't want to make it space. Well, what are you doing with Darkseid? Like you could literally come in and like bring an element because I love Marvel, but their villains aren't as strong as DC's villains. No. And you have a load of DC villains. You have a gun loaded with like the best DC villains that you can pop off and bring into the cinematic universe. And you kind of starting it with Wonder Woman 1984 with Cheetah. Black Manta was good in this movie.
Yeah. I love Black Manta.
You have you're gonna have to bring out the Flashes here, Rogues Gallery. Take your pick.
They got a couple of them. Like they got Captain Boomerang. Yeah, he was in Suicide Squad.
And he wasn't bad in Suicide Squad. Take a few of his villains, bring them in, and then start this over. Make it what it is, because you can make Justice League 2 an epic movie where you don't have to maybe take 10 years to make it, but you can take 3 or 4 years to flesh these characters out. You got the Batman. I'm kind of disappointed that Ben Affleck's Batman is not going to face Deathstroke, because I think
that movie would have been serious.
Yeah,
that was going to be the movie.
If that was the movie, I was like, hold on, this is. You see how my man came off that boat and went up to Lex Luthor? Like that was like he came off. Seriously, I was like, yo, this is going to be good. But don't try to sell me on the Snyder Cut is going to save the Justice League movie. It's not, to me, going to save the Justice League movie at all. It's you spent $15 million in reshoots, just to bring this to HBO Max. And then we have to wonder why DC has layoffs. You spent all that money to take that money and then after Versus, we're going to get into the DC layoffs, but you spent all that money, and that's just my gripe about it. This is my argument to Justin about why is it the DC fanboys think this is going to be the savior of the Justice League movie, the savior of the DC universe, when you have your savior right in front of you and you want to ignore it for a director.
Well, let me get to my couple of points. Well, first, I can't speak for all DC fans. I would say the real savior, if DC was going to save everything, they should have did it with Infinite Crisis on TV to connect everything. And they did it with the Flash scene. That would have been the bridge. They could have give a reason why Grant Gustin takes over as the Flash. They could have did a whole lot of stuff for Crisis of Infinite Earths to put a full blown reset on the movie universe. They didn't do it.
Well, there is a rumor that the scene that they shot, because if you notice the scene that Ezra and Grant shot, that scene was shot differently than the rest of Crisis. Yeah, and people were saying that's footage from the Flash
for the Flash movie.
From the Flash movie.
And that's how he's going to learn how to get his name. Yeah. Still not a fan of that, but this is about the Snyderverse, which is now going to be its own universe now, because that's what Zack Snyder said. He considers it now the Snyderverse. So it's going to be so any other movie after this is kind of like this is kind of like a one-off now. So that theatrical cut is the actual canon, and this is just.
Wait, so they're saying that the Snyder cut is going to be the course correction now?
No, not course correction. It's just like its own. It's going to be Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League, Snyder Cut. That's it. Nothing else exists. This is like the end, I guess.
And that's what kind of kills me also about the DC universe. That this is just
that's not a good idea.
Everybody's their own universe.
That's like, I'm not arguing with you on that one. My thing is, for me, I just want it to be better than a theatrical cut that we got. That's what I'm hoping. It's just like, we're gonna get a more fleshed out Cyborg backstory, which is good. You're gonna get more of the Superman, because Superman's arc from Man of Steel to Batman v Superman to Justice League is actually a good arc. It's just, a lot of people have a problem with Henry Cavill Superman. He's not smiling. He's not this. It's still doing the Nolan approach, because people forget that Christopher Nolan produced Man of Steel, and Nolan wanted a realistic take on Superman, which was, here's a guy
angry. I'm not getting any Superman. I'm that backed up. That's why I'm that mad.
That's always Superman.
Well, here's a Superman that comes to Earth and he's questioning his place in the world, and that's what you saw in Batman v Superman. That's why I enjoyed Batman v Superman, because it was
realistic.
It was a realistic take on Superman, and he was moping, yes, he was crying, yes, I get it. The Martha scene's completely stupid. I also agree with that, but for me, it's more of a closure to the Henry Cavill Superman arc. It's okay. We saw it in the Justice League. He became that Superman that everybody loves, and like that's the best thing they was praising. They're like, oh my God, he's finally smiling. He's finally doing the truth and justice the American way. But you have to, when you start off something dark, obviously the light comes at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. But from the progression from a character standpoint, he went, Man of Steel was trying to find himself. Batman v Superman, he's questioning it. Of course, everybody's trying to say, do we really need a Superman? Justice League, obviously, he goes a little bit nuts, when he wakes up from coma, and then that arc is going to close. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see is, and just from a fan standpoint, I like, just from a creative standpoint as well, I want continuity. I would like to see the person who started it finish it. Anytime how disappointing, don't get me wrong, Don Cheadle's excellent. But imagine if Terrence Howard could be in Rhodey for the rest of the.
I kind of agree and I don't agree because you know what? That's the same thing as saying what's his name? If Ruffalo wasn't
if Edward Norton was still there.
We don't know because both characters when they changed to different actors were so good we kind of forgot about
and also they removed them early enough to the point where people didn't get that attached yet.
I mean, I
don't know Edward Norton I kind of got attached to. He was
good.
Yeah. Well, that Hulk movie is very underrated.
I'm gonna agree with Sheldon. I was like, Mark Ruffalo, what are you? I questioned Marvel. I was like, and I walked that back.
Ruffalo looks like the Hulk.
Does Justice League need to be 4 hours? To me, no. I think 3 hours and 30 minutes, like the same length as Batman v Superman, should be suffice. I don't think it should be episodic either. But for me, I'm just excited to see the original version of the person who started it.
Yeah.
You know, I love to see.
You're excited to see what you should have gotten the first time.
What I should have got it the first time. Is it going to be crap? If it's crap, it's crap. I mean, then I'm going to be on here next episode bitching about it. I mean, and just be like, next year I'll be like, oh, damn, sucks.
I was going to say, unfortunately, we're going to have to. We'll have a part 2 to this in 2021.
No, but I mean, Zack Snyder does not get enough credit as a director. You know, from my standpoint, I mean, Dawn of the Dead was good. Sucker Punch was good. 300, we all know 300. Watchmen was good. Like he has some legit movies under his belt. It's just that
people be very iffy with you on Sucker Punch. I like that, but
I like Sucker Punch.
Iffy on
I like Sucker Punch. I mean, Watchmen was good. I mean, even the extended. I mean, he's known to be doing these 4 hour cuts in the first place. Look at like the ultimate Watchmen cut. Isn't that like 4+ hours?
Yeah, I watched that on the way to London. Wow. Like I watched the ultimate cut on the way to London, and I swear to you, it ended right before I land. And London is a damn near 9-hour flight. Like I watched it on the way from New York to London, and that was crazy.
I mean, there's certain things that he's including, like Green Lantern's going to be in there. Martian Manhunter is going to finally be in there. Obviously, I'm spoiling it for people. Sorry, but yeah, Martian Manhunter is going to be in there. Wonder Woman's arc was.
Because he was like the black dude, the general.
Yeah, he's the general.
Yeah. Even Star Sapphire, Carol.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in there.
Yeah, Carol's been in the shit since Man of Steel.
Hal Jordan or Toma Ray supposed to show up at the end of the it was supposed to be originally the end credit scene was Kilowog or Toma Ray coming to Batman and be like, yo, Darkseid's coming. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm more excited to see finally Darkseid in live action. I do agree with you with the Legion of Doom. I think Darkseid is somebody that you should wait for, like they did with Thanos, like because he is the big bad of all DC. Yeah. I mean, like, you just don't just jump in there and just be like, here's your main event. Like, I mean, you gotta go not to use wrestling terms. You gotta go through the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series to get to WrestleMania.
You can't open the show with the Royal Rumble.
You can't just go WrestleMania. Here's the WrestleMania right here.
Like, why should I care about this character?
It's just like
the only way I would accept that is if they do a Darkseid Justice League battle. And then after they defeat him and they send him back to Apocalypse, we're also getting a New Gods movie. But after they send him to Apocalypse and send him back home, as soon as they breathe the sigh of relief and they're just like, yes, we finally defeated him. Then, like you said, that big ass helmet head comes out of the damn water, and then the doors open and you just see Lex and like all the villains like, welcome to the Legion of Doom.
Welcome back to Earth.
And then like the credits roll. I'm just like, I would be like, holy shit, they finally did it.
Hey, but for me, is it going to be, I think it's going to be better than the theatrical cut that we got. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I feel that way is because we're getting more time. Because first of all, like Jerrell pointed out, the executives, originally Justice League was going to be a 3-hour movie. But they said...
Wasn't it still a 3-hour movie?
No.
No, it was 2 hours exactly.
They said it has to be 2 hours or 1 hour and 30 max. I mean, like, minimum. You have to cut this movie down because they wanted more on the season. When you're a storyteller and you're trying to tell that cohesive story, and you're telling them 2 hours, that means you cut a whole hour. You're going to create plot holes. You're going to create things. And Joss Whedon, I mean, first of all, the reason why I hate Justice League, the whole tone is just off compared to Man of Steel, Batman v Superman. Even the music, you got Danny Elfman instead of Hans Zimmer, and it's just like, and then Danny Elfman brings back the original Batman theme that has nothing to do with what was established. You brought back the Superman theme that has nothing to do with what was established.
True, but I didn't mind that though.
No, I hated that because it messes up the tone.
No,
that has nothing to do with the Hans Zimmer soundtrack score. If you're gonna keep something, keep it consistent, and that's why at least the Snyder Cut, they're coming back to score it, which is good.
Well, here's my thing, and regarding Zack Snyder, the biggest problem with the whole Justice League situation, like the theatrical versus the Snyder Cut, it really comes down to the studio being cowardly and reactionary.
Yeah.
Not like this is, it's not a DC problem, it's a Warner Brothers problem.
Yeah.
Because Batman vs Superman was like 2 hours and like 40 something minutes. They made him short in Justice League because of the complaints about Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
You know, and like Sean said, the complaints about Batman and Superman was him trying to cram 10 comic books into one film. Yeah. It had nothing to do with the length of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, but the executives were just like, well, maybe it was too long. So they're just like, all right, make Justice League shorter. Yeah. They made him change the tone and the color. If you look at the original Justice League trailer, when it was darker. Like it was blue.
Yeah.
When Aquaman was riding on the Batmobile, it was blue in the background. It was dark in the background. Mm-hmm. Then when the other trailers came out, now it's red and the skies are red. You know, we saw the cyborg footage, you know, in the beginning. But the fans also need to take responsibility for that too, because when Batman vs Superman came out, and for the people who didn't like it, they trashed Zack Snyder online. They called for his head. They're like, we want Zack Snyder removed.
Yep.
They removed Zack Snyder. And now all of a sudden we want the Snyder Cut.
And then they put weed in there. And they was like, let's get the guy who did the Avengers.
Yeah.
And then
listen, I don't want to agree, but I agree with you guys completely.
Yeah, you can't. You can't call for Zack Snyder's head because you're upset about certain things with BVS, and then when you don't like Justice League, demand the Snyder Cut.
And I think that's what pissed me off the most. Bring back it's a whole campaign. Yeah. Like, it's not going to save the movie. Sometimes,
3-year campaign.
Yeah, sometimes you have to stop and go, you know what? This was I hate to say this.
Take this L?
Because no. Besides take this L, I hate to say this. What did Fox constantly do when it came down to their X-Men and Marvel in different movies?
Reboot.
They had to constantly, how many Spider-Man reboots did we get? And the funny thing is, with each Spider-Man reboot, the first one, great.
The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, right?
I'm talking about, with the first iteration of it with Tobey Maguire.
Oh yeah,
you got the first two that were good, and then it's like, yo, who shit on Venom? Okay, then when you got the remake, which was with Andrew Garfield, it was just like, okay, the first one was good. The second one was, I don't know, man. They kind of played with those villains a little too hard. Okay, and it wasn't great. But the ending, the very end, touched me. Yeah. I did like the very end with the kid. That touched me. Then you got
Tom
Holland's Spider-Man,
who was dropped into Avengers.
Yeah, he was dropped, and then it was like, okay, he had two good. Let's be honest. First movie, great.
Second one,
we're just like, I
consider trash.
I liked it, but I was just but I can't. But you know what? I can walk with you on that one and say parts of it made me. I did like Mysterio, and parts of it were like.
I mean, this is the Spider-Man was an episode of stuff. But I just gotta get this off my chest. I hate constantly, and this is my gripe with it, is that Uncle Ben is just. They just said, fuck Uncle Ben. Here's Tony Stark. He's gonna be your influence.
After a while, you had to say fuck Uncle Ben. Because you get tired of it every time.
To me, Uncle Ben and Bruce's parents are in the same boat at this point.
Yeah, but
these motherfuckers get shot one more time.
I mean, no, look, I'm not saying we have to see him die and everything, but it's kind of the core of who Peter is that guilt with Uncle Ben. But they kind of made this guilt of Mr. Stark. Well,
they tried to make Stark his surrogate daddy.
Yeah,
because he didn't turn into Spider-Man in Civil War. He was already Spider-Man for 3-4 weeks. But that's another problem that the fans have, because the fans with the whole Justice League and the DC universe, people were upset because they were just like, oh, How is Aquaman getting a solo film after Justice League? How's Shazam getting his movie after Justice League? Marvel gave all their solo people movies before Avengers. First of all, Spider-Man. No, but people say that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, let's get that right. There were only a few movies that led up to the Avengers, and it was mainly just Iron Man and
but they're talking Thor. But they're not talking about storyline. They're talking about individual movies before a team up, and that's not a fair argument to make because Black Panther and Spider-Man got dropped in Civil War and nobody said anything. So why is Aquaman getting and catching flack over having his movie after the fact?
And that I will agree with, because I will say Avengers movie, it was really just Iron Man. It was the big three. It was Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor.
But you got to count Hulk.
But that Hulk movie wasn't really part of that. Even though
they integrated it.
Yeah, because Tony walked in the bar at the end and he was like, "We're putting the team together."
Yeah, okay, that he integrated, and I can get along with that. But you got to remember, those movies kind of DC still kind of followed the same thing, because they gave you a standalone Superman movie, they gave you a standalone Wonder Woman movie, then they gave you Batman v Superman, which really should have been called Trinity, right? And
you got Suicide Squad,
and then you got not even Suicide Squad into it, and then you got
Suicide Squad did come out before Justice League, and the whole thing with Ben Affleck and Amanda Waller, because remember in the post credit scene he got the files for Aquaman and Flash from Amanda Waller. Yeah. And then that's when she was just like, "I know what you do at night, bitch."
He's like, "Yo, shut that down. All my friends are going to do it for you."
So I was like, so it was Cadmus, she knows his secret.
So they did get their thing. But what I'm going to do now is, because this podcast is gone, I guess we can talk for hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to break this down one, and then we're going to do a bonus track of our conversation about DC's layoffs and everything else. We'll do that as a side bonus track for everybody to listen to. So, but I want to thank Jerrell for coming out. It wasn't much of refereeing, more of this was just like a versus discussion. Like I guess you could say both Justin and I agree and disagree. I can call this one,
and I can see points on both sides.
And I can call this one a tie, because this one we both have valid points about why we do. Only this will be a beat to be continued, because the Snyder Cut does not premiere until next year. So let's come back again next year. Hopefully it's around next year this time, where we can really get into it. Because I'm going to tell you now, if that cut is an episode of just him going, "This is what I wanted to do, now bask in it," and enjoy it, I'm going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to bask in it. You're going to," and I hope that podcast reaches you when I bask in your trash. Right?
But honestly, I honestly feel like that's what it is. Like, I don't think he's just like, "Hey, here's my movie to save the DC universe." I just think his whole thing is, listen, I hear a lot of people complaining about the DC universe. This is what I wanted. If anybody cares, this is what I was trying to do before the studio shut me down.
Okay, well, I can go with that. But I want to thank Jerrell for coming in. This is an episode of Justin versus Sean. Let us know what you think. This is our first episode. It ran a little long. We're going to usually try to keep these episodes between 45 and 50 minutes, and we'll try to get to the point. But I think when talking about comic books, we kind of everybody goes in, and we're hoping this is something you can enjoy. And if you have any thoughts or criticisms about it, just let us know. Like, we can, like, this is something new for us as it is for you to listen to, and this is something here for you to listen to and for you just to get our opinion. So listen, if you have opinions, let us know. Tell us what you think of it. Let us know if you like it going long, if you think it's short, if you like the content. You can also give us ideas of things that we should talk about, or anything we should versus. And remember, it's not just comic books. We'll be doing anime. We'll be doing stories about everything on here, like as it's comic book and entertainment related, just like our website. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and from us at Otakus and Geeks. And